Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Konrad OldMoney. Welcome to my behind the scenes.
Old money. City of dreams, city of gang, 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 gang. City of dreams, living your grave, you live in your grave. City of dreams, city of gang, 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 gang. City of dreams, live in your grave, you live in your grave. City of dreams, city of gang, 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 gang.
There's a bunch of different things that go into making not just the song, but making the instrumental. So I figured I would kind of share some of that with you. You might find it fun. I'm not one of those sausage lip mustache people that's sitting there smoking with the long hair, eating way too much sugar, and like sitting in a dark room making music, because I don't feel like that's something that makes me want to do music, because it's fucking boring. My favorite thing ever is to be making different music in different places. As you've seen in the other videos, I just go to a cafe, I sit down, I put on my headphones, and I just bob my head up and down like a weirdo in a corner of a room, and I just kind of soak in the vibe. So believe it or not, it was just very simple taiko drums. I like the swing. I just kind of clacked them out on my keyboard. And I like that loop. I was like, this is kind of a cool rhythm to kind of build off of, right? Dun, 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 dun. And I was thinking about what kind of, note to marry to it. So I actually took a resonator, which I don't even know if anyone ever uses resonators. I don't know. Let me know in the comments section below. And I put them on top of the sticks, and it sounded dope. So that it created this like boom, ba-dum, down, ba-dum, down. I was like, this is actually kind of nice. I like this. So I went off of that. That was the springboard for the whole thing. I was thinking, okay, if I got this melody, if I got this like bass kind of this root note, I was thinking a nice broody, slow re-space, something that just switches at half the time of that would sound really nice. So this is what I came up with. It's like songwriter 101. It's like really like, it has this like Gregorian sinister choir feel to it that is really sick. I picture these dudes in like robes, like, whoa, like really creepy shit. Imagine me sitting at a cafe with my headphones on, being like, whoa. I get really weird. It's quite the sight. People are always like, what the hell is that guy doing? Is he on drugs in the corner of the cafe? This is the rip. This is like the entire swing. That is the lifeblood of this song. And the only way I could think of attacking this, because it has so much movement, it's got this brooding bass line and all this cool movement on the sticks. I figured drums have to be stiff as hell. The drums have to be like pathetic. Like, yo, listen to these drums. These drums are like ridiculous. Like, what is this, like grade 4? This is like every drum teacher's worst nightmare. This is the shit they got to sit there with like a 5-year-old being like, I'm like, that's what I'm going to do on this song. And it sounds so nice. That along with a couple like weird sound effects and and then I added this like horrible 80s synth. Same thing. Like in my head, I'm picturing like Gregorian motherfuckers in cloaks being all Gregorian and shit. I don't know what they do. I figure they just walk around with candles a lot. Like Gregorian people? Like, is that a thing? Like Gregorian people? Is there a thing? Or is that like a time period, the Gregorian period? The fuck is it? I don't even know. Okay, anyways, that's essentially where my head was at, My head was at creepy dudes with robes. That along with this like cute little music box with like some vinyl sounds on it. I love adding, the old vinyl sound to shit. Just make it sound cheap and old. Like I just ripped it off a record from the Dusty Fingers compilation or something. To all my heads, you'll know what I'm talking about. You motherfuckers have been sampling Dusty Fingers compilations for the last 20 years, haven't you? Oh, I know. That's a little tidbit for my hip hop heads. Remember Gangstar? This entire beat is about the unexpected marriage of very rigid elements and very non-rigid. Like we're talking, I have like chains and shit that are like completely out of any kind of rhythm. There's so much loose things. Actually, I learned that from studying Pharrell. Pharrell was incredible at that. He would have rigid kicks and snares like a motherfucker. Like he would have the most rigid kicks and snares, and then all of the percussion would be loose as hell. You would just almost randomly hit. And that's kind of like where I approached this, where I had a few pieces that are the glue to the record, which is these rigid drums, and it makes you feel like you're almost marching. It's like scary, you know, it's like this engine that just keeps chugging along. And then you have these like random loosey elements and weird quirky sounds and shit. It makes you envision like a giant steamy machine, like old, dirty, like I see sand, I see grit, I see oil, I see drugs. I hear it all in this. Fucking robots and shit, man. My entire approach with this beat was to try to create the best landscape for how I envision the city to be, both emotionally, visually, and acoustically. You know how all these producers pretend that they see the colors? They're like, oh, this was purple to me. And like, that's bullshit. There's like 4 people in the world with synesthesia. I'm going to pretend that I see what I'm just kidding. But like really, like when I make music, when I really get into it, since my original discipline is visual art, I spent my entire life painting. I make sure that like I hit that picture in my head. I'm always aiming at what I see in my head when I'm putting things down inside of my DAW. Like when I'm creating a song, I'm painting with sound, and that's that. And watch what happens when you add the fucking lyrics to this, you know?
Scully in the gullies, yeah. Bully in the burrows, finna take your money, yeah. That ice shoot cause we throw, way too.
And also on Johnny's vocals, I made sure to add like another layer of like really, like because everything is so deconstructed and slow and brooding and methodical, like when the chorus hits, I don't need to do a lot. I don't need to have like risers and fancy shit to make you feel that the impact of the chorus. When you're making songs, you create peaks and valleys. The valley's fucking deep on this shit.
Do it for gang, you don't believe in no fame. Every day digging the grave, step in the pit with the snakes.
It's just that gunshot, boom. I love doing this. I love just kind of sneaking in little sounds, little tidbits. If you kind of dive into my music more on this project, on all the different stuff that I made for Cyberpunk, you know, I do a lot of chopping, a lot of weird little sounds that just kind of cut in and out. They just dive in and out of the records. That's the spice, you know, that's the sauce. That's how I cook. That's what I do. I take little weird fucking sounds and I put them in there and I cut things out recklessly. I'm a butcher with this. I love doing this. I used a synthesizer to make this weird kind of clicky sound that I liked. When you put all that together with some of the other elements, I added some car sounds and I created this scenario. It makes you feel like you're inside of a decrepit old car lot or like a garage in a steamy old city. And that's what I used as the building blocks for the intro itself. Bass is, you know, that's a re-space, that's cool. You know, it's got this like brooding energy. It's setting up a nice structure. But what I like to do is I like to take these types of things, I like to print them. Like I'm kind of a hack, you know, like I'll take a sound, I'll use a synthesizer, and then I print it because, you know, I started in Pro Tools. I'm originally a Pro Tools producer. So I'll hard print the sounds and then I just hack and chop them recklessly and see what comes out. I went and stripped away all of the low end and the high end. I left only the mids and I gave it this warble with some distortion. And it just sounds really nice. Like the reason I do this is so that, you know, this punches through the mix a lot better. You know, when it's just the Reese, you hear this. Right? Like, you don't really get to hear that, especially if you're on your phone or if you're playing the game. You don't get to hear, like, all the nuances of where these melodic overtones are going. So I just double up. I hard print something, and then I pitch it, or I just copy it, and then I just mess with which frequencies I want to bring out. Normally you wouldn't be doing things like this, but I find that when you, let's say, want to bring out something in a mix, you don't just have to mess with EQs. Why not just double it, triple it, maybe quadruple it, whatever, and then just isolate the frequencies you want to hear. It's just easier. You can just regroup and marry things together. It doesn't matter. So this is what happened with that bass line. So as you can hear, I used the chain again. I pitched it differently. And I set it up into a percussive loop. And it all just kind of, when you play everything together, even though the chain is not really in key, when you put these things together, it sounds nice. There are many things that shouldn't make sense together, but they do. I'm gonna add some glitches. The Tal Uno plugin, the synthesizer harp. Look at how garbage this sounds. It's incredible. A lot of people are afraid to use cheap sounds. I love using cheap sounds. I think cheap sounds are the shit. Especially because, if you're using cheap sounds and other people aren't, you're using sounds that other people aren't. Then we have the verse. And the verse, we still got these like really rigid drums. And that's what gives it this like pushing, sinister feel. Took those elements, and that's what we have here. That's all there is that's happening on the verses. Like, this shit just sounds like a horror movie. The Blob is gonna get you. Remember The Blob? You guys ever watch The Blob? It was terrifying. I was a child. It was terrifying. My mother subjected me to The Blob. The drums themselves are rigid as hell. When I turn on the vocals, look at how nice it sounds.
Scully in the gullies, yeah. Ollie in the burrows, finna take your money, yeah. That ice shoe cuts me through,
This is the thing I love about music, is the fact that you and other creatives get together and make dope things. Even this video right now, my friends are filming it. Oneline Entertainment. You have Yule, who built this cafe, who rides motorbikes. You made all of this. Like, you literally just put all this together by hand. And I get to go and I get to make music there in this environment that he created. Then I get to call my friend and I get to be like, yo, what are you doing? Let's make a song. Like, it's a really big privilege to me to be surrounded by so many creative people. I wouldn't trade it for the world. No matter how hard music gets, no matter how many challenges, I love being able to be creative. And I always want to give love to those people that, open their doors and give me their time and give me their support. It means a lot. Like, us as artists, we need all the fucking help we can get. So I just want to say thank you to everybody involved.
Gang, gang. You don't believe in no fate. Every day digging the grave. Step in the pit with the snakes. City of dreams, city of gang. You don't believe in no fate. I might just dig up your grave. Step in the pit with a gang. City of dreams, city of gang, 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 gang. City of dreams, live in your grave. You live in your grave. City of dreams, city of gang, 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 gang. City of dreams, live in your grave. You live in your grave. City of dreams, city of gang.